Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to the first episode, and maybe the only episode, we'll see, of Evan talks about random topics over random gameplay that I pick from a random game that I'm playing at the time. Which, I mean, once school starts back up, there won't be any gaming, so. But for now, it's Spelunky, so I just enjoy that in the background. Or not, you can just listen, or not at all. This is more for me documenting, but it's just going to be me talking about random things going on in my life, or concepts, or just things that I'm finding interesting that are just thought-provoking for me. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was this idea of, I'm reading this math book right now, and it touches on this concept of utility and it as a variable. So like it in the book, it talks about it as utils, like UTILS, like utility but utils, and it's a measure of like satisfaction in your life. So the analogy I'm gonna try and paint so you can get the concept, so I can go a little bit deeper, is if you're like let's say you're a rich guy and you're a millionaire, and someone gives you $1,000, it's probably not worth as much to you as someone who is completely poor and living on the street, and then they're given $1,000. Well, then that $1,000 means a whole lot more to them, because obviously the things the way they can improve their life are much greater than someone who already has, say, a mansion, a nice car, everything that they can use money for. I also wanted to make a little fun Minecraft analogy just for fun. It's like if you're on a new world and you're hunting for diamonds, and so you finally, let's say you find like 5. Well, those first 5 are going to be much more significant than your future ones, because with that you can make like a diamond pick, which will then let you get to the nether, getting obsidian and things, and like just the first diamonds you find will be much more significant. And then after you've got like your pickaxe and your sword, well then in the future the next diamonds you get are not as significant because the armor doesn't play as big of a role. So like the idea is, once you've got X amount of something, then the value of it starts to deteriorate in your life. So like, let's say you're willing to spend, let's say an hour of time is equal to one like util, this variable that we're talking about. An hour of time is worth this. If you're rich, then let's say, think of it as like a wage, right? If you're poorer, the amount of money you're willing to give up an hour for would say, let's say you're willing to work for $15 an hour. But if you're rich, there's no way you would give up an hour of free time for $15. So the value of free time would then be worth more utils to you than, say, whatever, irrelevant amount of money we're talking about. So anyways, my pointless rambling aside, it got me thinking about the idea of like, am I spending my time and utility in a way that's going to maximize like satisfaction? So like, if you think throughout your life about trying to maximize the satisfaction you have throughout the entirety of your existence. So like if I say me reading a book in my free time gives me 5 satisfaction points, or we could say util, but it's not important what we name the term. And let's say me gaming gives me 4, and me spending time with family in a group setting or friends is worth 10. But then let's say working is more like, if I like my work, maybe it has a positive value. If I don't, maybe it has a negative value. So let's say you hate your job and it has a big negative value of satisfaction. Well, then you're kind of in a position where, are you having net satisfaction in your life, or are you kind of just like living? And the idea is like, once you hit a money threshold, like a salary threshold, the value of your time working, if you don't really enjoy your job, might not be worth as much as, say, doing something you actually enjoy and brings you satisfaction. Like, at the end of the day, your goal in life is to maximize satisfaction and the amount of dopamine releasing moments you have and stories to tell and enjoyment. Whatever you view as, living to the extent that makes you happy and maximizing the amount of things you do that make you happy. So, like, in my instance, and here's where it gets interesting, right? Because let's say you want to have a family, X amount of kids, and this is going to bring you happiness. Because for me personally, I really want a few kids. Then I need to figure out, well, I need enough money to support them. And so what do I need to do right now that might actually be negative in this word utils, or like utility for me now and satisfaction for me now? Putting more time into schoolwork, getting my AEMT or different certifications, which right now, while I'd rather be at a party or something, or getting mindlessly drunk or something like that, I have to prioritize that, because in the future I know what's going to maximize my happiness in the long run. So it's like you're investing in your future self with like satisfaction almost, because if you spend all your time partying and doing things that might be worth a lot of satisfaction to you, you might have a lot of stories to tell. The key is doing it in a way where you can then, as you're older, continue to have that positive satisfaction to like negative satisfaction. Like, let's say if you crashed your car, right? That's like a big negative. Similarly to having to work a job you hate for little money, well, then you're going to have to work more. And the amount of satisfaction you're going to be able to buy with that money, based on like, if you need more money, that is. You get the idea though. Just like, what am I doing now? Is me putting all this time into getting whatever random certification going to pay off in the future in satisfaction and happiness and joy? And if that's not the case, then why am I doing it? So like, if I really hate X hobby that I'm doing just to try and like, I guess, pad my resume or look more busy or whatever, the question is, do I need to be doing that? Is that something that's necessary for me in the future to then have a life with enough money to support children, to support a family, to have enough money to do the things I want to do? I'm not saying I need, and that's the thing, like I said, diminishing monetary returns in joy, like an extra $10,000 to someone who's making $100,000 versus an extra $10,000 to someone who's making $30,000. It's a big deal. Hold on, my brother's asking me what kind of milkshake I want. Shit. Cool mint. That's what we're running with, guys. Cool mint. So anyways, yeah, it's just been like having me think like, why am I spending time? Is me spending time on certain things a complete and utter waste? Like just certain things. Like, I don't know. It's super weird to think about. Just whether or not my time is, if I'm valuing my time enough. And like, you might think, oh, you're sitting down, and if you're playing video games, we'll use the example just because that's what's on the screen right now, and you get genuine joy from playing video games and you have fun and you get that satisfaction, and you're also living your life to set yourself up positively for the future. Is it inherently bad then to be playing video games because it's giving you that joy in the moment? Because let's say instead I was I enjoy working out, so that's not a good example, but like, let's say I was studying some random topic or doing any kind of work that might not be as fun and I might not enjoy as much, but might, in a global outlook kind of way, make me look like I'm doing more or look like I've accomplished more. But in the end, maybe I didn't enjoy that thing that I was trying to learn or master, or practice at that time, and I would have enjoyed more reading. I'm only saying reading right now because I'm in the middle of a book, but just anything you enjoy. Like if you enjoy watching sports, going out with friends, doing whatever, getting absolutely plastered, it's up to you, right? But it's like, yeah, you need to be accomplishing this, you need to be accomplishing that, you need to be in this club that you don't care about because it'll help you get into this, blah, blah, blah. But then think to yourself, do I really need to be, like, think about the minimum you need to do that's not going to give you satisfaction, that's not going to put you in a positive way, and then think to yourself, why am I doing it? Like, really think about why you're doing the things you're doing. And if they're not bringing you like positive in utility satisfaction to you, bringing you a sense of purpose and making you feel good about the things you're doing, if it's really something you just dread doing, then think about, is this really necessary for me to have the positive satisfaction net in my life? And that concept as a whole, and I rambled for so damn long, that's crazy. But my brother's trolling. The thickness of the milkshake, just regular, like, bruh. Anyways, I'll touch just a lighter topic now that's more fun. I'm just gonna talk about a few stories I've been working at on my old daycare over the summer. So I'm going to talk about some of the kind of stupid, silly stories. So first one, this kid, Sebastian, we were doing art in the kitchen, and I was going to give all the kids like a little Dum Dum lollipop. And one of the flavors, as you guys all know, is like the mystery flavor with like the purple wrapper. And so this kid, when he comes up to get his Dum Dum, he picks the random flavor. And I see him, like a minute goes by, and I see him go over to the trash can and throw away his lollipop because I guess he didn't like the flavor. Then like a minute later, he comes over to me and he's like, Mr. Evan, I dropped my lollipop on the floor. Can I get a new one? And I had just seen him trash it like a minute ago. So I knew he was trying to like lie straight to my face. And just like that little... I don't know why. I thought that was so funny. Like, my guy really tried it. Like, and it was honestly, it would have worked if I didn't see. Well, probably I wouldn't actually, because then there wouldn't have been a lollipop on the floor. Like, my next reaction probably would have been, all right, show me where's the lollipop on the floor. But he just like, he threw. Like, he got in a lot of trouble for that. But I thought that was pretty funny. Another pretty funny. This one, I'm a big fan of this one. So this one of the youngest kids, Cooper, when the kids need to go to the bathroom, they have to come ask us. So he asked me, and we're outside, and I'm like, all right, how bad do you have to go, Cooper? Just to see what he says. And he looks at me, and he like hesitates for a second, like he's thinking, and then he starts to like raise his arms up, and then he starts to like spread his hands a little bit, as if he's trying to like show me how bad he has to go. And he starts like spreading his hands apart and then like moving them back in a little bit, and he's trying to show me how bad he has to go by like how far apart he spreads his hands, like how you would say this much by like really spreading your arms wide. That's what he's doing. But instead of like spreading his arms as wide as possible, it's like he's trying to calculate the exact like amount that he needs to use the restroom. So he's like focusing on how far apart he's spreading his arms. It's just like the cutest thing ever. Like, it's not a quantifiable thing, and he's trying. It's just super cute. And I was like, oh my gosh, Cooper, just go to the bathroom. And then another really funny one was this. Another one of the younger kids, Leo. We're playing bingo, and I read out a number like N54 or something, and he looks at me and he goes, "What's an N?" Completely serious, no joke whatsoever. He just look, "What's an N?" Like, he just is completely confused. And I'm like, oh my god. And once again, kid is crazy cute. He just stares at me in the face and just with complete honesty and sincerity just has no idea what an N is. And so anyways, I had someone help him out, but like just like, oh my gosh, what even? I think those are just a couple that I'll touch on for now. A couple of the stories. And then one more thing I wanted to touch on was this concept called the deathbed concept, and it kind of touches on the utils and satisfaction thing I was talking about. And it's like, let's say you put an arbitrary value on like wealth, and you say, all right, I'm willing to spend this much time or X utils on this, like on money. Like you're willing to put this amount of time on making money and having this amount of wealth and being worth this much because, you know, you value having that much money. And then the idea is when you die, your net money is now, like, if you put priority into it and utils into it and you didn't get satisfaction out of it, like think of money as like banked satisfaction, and the amount of satisfaction you've banked decreases the more money you make. So once again, same concept, a millionaire getting $1,000 versus a homeless person getting $1,000. The banked satisfaction is much less for that $1,000 for the rich person. So if you then take the concept of being like when you die, right? If you have banked satisfaction left over, then you've then kind of, to an extent, lost out on potential enjoyment in life you could have had. So it's the idea of like, yes, savings are important, but like what statistical age would it be the right time to think about like spending your money and getting your basically your savings count down to zero? Like if you, regardless of having family and children, like let's neglect that for a minute. We can touch on that in a second. But like if you don't have any family or people that you need to leave money to, ideally you die with none, right? You've either donated it all, which gives you satisfaction while you're alive. So you've either donated it, you've either spent it on various vacations. Ideally, like you would be alerted, or there would be some way to know. Like you wouldn't want to know when you were going to die, but like ideally you would be out of money the moment you die because you would have spent it all. You would have maximized the amount of satisfaction you've had in your life, because if money is a means to purchase things that grant you satisfaction, then you know your bank satisfaction should be zero. You should have spent all of your potential satisfaction here. Then it's like, what statistical age should I be? Should my savings be closer to zero? Like if I have kids, right, and I'm like, okay, well, I'd like to leave them some money, so I decide, okay, I want to leave them this much money, and like each of them, obviously, and you know anyone else that I might want to put in a will or something. It's like, let's say I'm 70, let's say I'm 75, I have whatever medical conditions I have at the time. Thinking about figuring out when would be the best time to kind of get rid of all the extra money that's just sitting around, because it's not giving you satisfaction just sitting in your bank account. Like you've worked for it, you've spent time that you could have been getting more satisfaction or utils or whatever doing something else, but you've spent that time working, you've spent that time learning the market, you've spent that time doing whatever that increased your wealth, and for you to then die with like a substantial amount of money left over, you've then wasted a lot of potential satisfaction you could have had in your life. So just the idea of like just that a lot of people die with the wealthier people, that is, with a lot of money left over. And I guess if you're leaving it to your children, that's different, but I don't know. I just like right now, if I died right now, the work I'd done
the money I have in whatever mutual fund I'm in, the money I have in a few various places, that becomes completely irrelevant, and I've missed out on um, the satisfaction I could have had using that money now. So it's like, to an extent, it's like, well, spend your money while you have it. But then it's also like, well, you need money saved. So it's a super interesting idea. Like, you're kind of gambling at all times. If your end goal in life is to maximize the amount of satisfaction you have and things you do that you enjoy, maximum dopamine moments, and then you've got $100,000 saved up, well, that's a lot of potential satisfaction that you've just got sitting there that you haven't consumed and could be completely be lost if you died at any moment. But then I guess if you died, you wouldn't be able to regret it at that point. So I don't know. Anyways, um, little bit. I think that concept is not too complicated, right? I just thought that was super interesting. Um, let's see. I think I had one more thing. Oh, this little metaphor from this math book I've been reading of um, so let's say it talks about the lottery, an absurd amount in this math book, and like statistics and numbers, and it's a super cliche kind of thing of like, the more you try the lottery, the more times you try the lottery, oh my gosh, I can't say lottery. The more times you try the lottery, the greater your odds of winning the lottery, right? Logically, that makes plenty of sense. But then he extrapolates that concept to literally everything. And it's like, well, yeah, duh, that makes sense. And he extrapolated it to like business owners. And the more times you try and start a business, the more times you try just various things, then the more likely you are statistically to then have some success with that thing. So it was kind of like, the idea that came to my mind was kind of like, if you think of it as the lottery, and then like trying to start a business or anything at all, really, realizing that each ticket that you're in quotations, like each ticket or attempt you take at something, you're purchasing it with your time, right? And then with each of these purchases you make with your time, your effort, your money, whatever, you're increasing the odds of having success with that thing that you're doing. So, and once again, super simple. Obviously, like, oh, the more times you do something, the more likely you are to have success at it, duh. But it's kind of like, you can't look at it like, oh, I've tried these 10 different things 10 times and it's never worked out. Therefore, I should just stop because I've had, I've been unsuccessful 10 times. And not like saying, if like Einstein's definition of insanity, doing the same stupid thing 10 times and expecting different results. But I'm saying in something that's more like, that's not exactly like so cut and dry, like maybe you need some luck with it, there's no reason not to give it another shot. Similar with the lottery. Obviously, the lottery is a bad investment, but saying that just because you weren't successful the previous time doesn't have any effect necessarily on your next attempt. So just because if you flip a coin and you land heads 10 times in a row, that says nothing about the next flip. The next flip is still 50-50. So just like little things like that where you kind of realize something super obvious that isn't often pointed out. Like, and you can use that sort of logic for so many things. Like, so I just kind of wanted to share. Anyways, with all that being said, I guess the kind of too long didn't read is just like maximize your satisfaction without compromising your future satisfaction. And I know that's easier said than done, but if there's something that you're doing that you don't see how it's going to result, like think of your time as a value. Give an hour a value of 10. Each hour is a value of 10. And if you spend that 10, well, you have 240 a day, obviously. If you spend each 10, think of how you're spending each 10, right? And think of whether or not it's going to, like, if that investment is going to increase in the future. If you're saying 1 hour is 10 units of satisfaction in a vacuum, right? Regardless of what you're doing. And then you say, okay, if I spend that hour gaming, then I'll give it 20. Because that's free time where I'm just doing leisure, I'm just enjoying myself. If I say that 10, that hour, if I spend it doing work, then that work I did was 5, but then the money that I gained was also was maybe worth like 10, right? So now I've kind of net made 15 working, and now I have the money to back it up. But then if you don't use the money, then you've actually lost 5 because the money's just sitting there. It's like banked satisfaction. So just, think about that for a minute and wonder if you're doing things in your life that are maximizing your satisfaction, maximizing your enjoyment, setting yourself in the future. That's the important part. I'm not saying go and live every day like it's your last because you're going to die or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you're doing something that's not conducive of enjoyment in your life, and it's not going to result in more in the future, then think about why you're doing it and whether or not that would be a worthwhile thing to drop. I don't know. Maybe this is way too simple for all you guys and you're like, what are you even talking about? But it's just kind of having one of those moments for me. Like, are the things I'm doing to try and make myself appealing to whatever graduate school, is it really necessary? Do I need to be putting this amount of time into this thing? So just a little something to think about. Maybe I'll do more little talking stuff like this. Maybe not. We'll see. Anyways, guys, if you listen through this whole thing, you're an absolute unit. I don't expect anyone to. It's more for me to listen to in the future, but I hope you enjoyed listening, and yeah, I'll see you later.